Right on time. How is your day going aside from having to talk to me?
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you. Are you kidding? It's going well. I went back to my first Muay Thai session since we left on the last tour. So I'm getting back into my martial arts, which I'm like, oh, I'm feeling it already.
That was actually something I was going to ask about later on, but I'll dig into it now. What was your introduction to the MMA world? In other words, was it that you watched UFC pay-per-views, or did somebody go, hey, the best way to get in shape is this, and you did that?
Well, I mean, I wish it was like a really light and colorful story, but actually it was because I was assaulted by an ex-boyfriend, violently assaulted. And I don't know, I didn't file charges. I was not in the place mentally to do that. But what I did do is I started going to a boxing gym and lifting weights. And it was something that I dabbled in, but I just kind of like leaned into it really hard. And I realized this makes me feel strong.
Mm-hmm.
This makes me feel, it totally changed my composition. It changed my mentality. I mean, I honestly, if I have one regret in life, it's that I wish I had really stuck with martial arts as a kid all the way through now, and like maybe gotten a black belt, or just kept training and staying in the ring, so to speak. But I started getting more and more into it. I think that event really triggered it.
Sure.
And so I was going every day, I found this really great one-on-one Muay Thai instructor, and it's the best thing I've ever done. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, but I just feel so much better.
There's such a huge overlap between the MMA world and the hard rock world. Are you immersed in that and all? For example, do you work with Sensei Mustaine, or is that just impossible?
I should know who that is, but I don't. So
Dave Mustaine from Megadeth has his dojo. Maynard from Tool has his dojo. And there's this big overlap that you find out that it's seemingly the way that most of the hard rock singers get in shape, stay in shape, and also get sober on top of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it all goes hand in hand. First of all, you need sober hobbies when you're in recovery, like me. So, and yeah. I'm very physical. My love language is touch. I'm very physical, and moving my body is really important for me to get out of my head and not spiral down into craziness and depression and all that stuff. And plus, when you're touring regularly, and especially when you're in recovery and you're touring regularly, when I come home, it's super important for me to get back into a routine, like a structured, scheduled day. It's super significant for me. So I am glad to hear that a lot of the other, I didn't know that. So fun fact that the other guys out there in rock are doing martial arts. And I feel like, hey, if they're doing it, I'm doing the right thing. It certainly has helped me immensely.
Well, to your credit, if you can take a compliment now, can you take the compliment or no compliments?
I love compliments. Hit me.
Okay. What I really dig about your music is that the lyrics are meaningful and emotional and coming from a real place, yet it's all poppy and you could sing along to it. So it's this immersive experience that you don't get from a lot of bands. A lot of bands go, well, we can either be memorable or meaningful, but you manage to bridge the gap between both with your songs.
I'm really glad that that's coming through to the other side and that you're picking up on that, because I was consciously, I was conscious about that. My intention was to do that. I didn't know how to pull it off. I had no idea. There's not a book that someone wrote that teaches you how to do that. But one, I think it starts with a catchy melody. And two, if you're not overly preachy and overly selling it and overly like, whatever, then I just think the power of one lyric, like one sentence, maybe even just a few words of dropping a seed is enough to shift a song from no substance to substance. Because a lot of times I'm spiritual, I believe in God. A lot of times I'll be listening to something and it's almost as if God turns up the volume on that one thing that I need to hear, and it's talking to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like the Holy Spirit is talking to me through this song. And that's how I operate. That's what I believe in. And I'm not here to preach to anybody, but if there's like a meaningful, helpful lyric that I can impart into a song, it just makes it so much better. Like, don't let the demons get you down. You are more than enough. Don't change. Those are in A Beautiful Life. And still, I'm glad that you see that it has, mainstream appeal.
Yep. Mainstream appeal, the charting radio hits keep coming, the big tours keep coming. Where you're at now, is that where you thought that you would be, 8, 9 years into the band?
No, but I had it like a pretty significant life change to my view of life has shifted dramatically. I kind of go with the flow and trust the process, and I go where I'm sent. So, back when I was operating at I guess a lower way of thinking, it was about, how much money can you make? Are you going to win Grammys? Like, what constitutes success? And you know, my character has been getting worked on and getting worked on, usually through painful things, which is hilarious. But it works. And so now the way I look at it is like, what constitutes success? Like writing a song that maybe like gets somebody not to kill themselves, or overdose or relapse or something like that. That to me is so much more meaningful and powerful than the way I used to look at it. So I'm right where I need to be. I trust God, I trust his plan, and I trust the process. And I'm like, this is where I need to be. Of course, I'm very proactive as much as I can be in making things happen, but I think there's a bigger picture.
Well, great art aside, it's remarkable and very interesting to me that you work with Rock Nation. I say that because there's been this curse over the years being the one rock band that works with the established hip hop label. And you seem to be like the first case where it worked out for the better, for the awesome way. And by that, I mean, P. Diddy on his label had Fuzz Bubble, who is a fantastic band, and the album never came out. And Wyclef signed Carl Restivo, who ultimately became big, and he played in Extreme, and he's doing really well, but the album never came out. And in your case, out the gate, it seemed like Rock Nation knew what to do with you from the beginning.
There's that, and there's also, yes, they're great. They're great to work with. They've given me a lot of opportunities. Their licensing department is awesome, like getting the songs on TV and film, but the song has to be right for TV and film. Like, Wicked Ones did really well commercially because it had that appeal to it. And yeah, but also another side of that is having a really strong management team. I'm with 10th Street. They've got a lot of rock artists. They know what they're doing. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Like it's a cooperative effort. It takes everybody. So I can't say what the magic sauce is. I'm just happy to be here.
10th Street are kind of the kings of the second or third act career. And by that, I mean, the artist sells millions of records, then it declines, and then 10th Street rebuilds you to being bigger than you ever were in some respects. And they did that with The Crew and Blondie and Papa Roach, etc. But in your case, you signed with them before the wheels fell off. In other words, you signed with 10th Street for the ascent. Did you have any hesitation, or am I just overthinking music business philosophy?
I don't know if you're overthinking it. I just really liked Chris Nilsson. I really liked that nobody's trying to tell me what to be. So in my past, I've had people pulling me in all different directions, like try to, lean more towards the alternative K-rock crowd. That's not my DNA. I felt like I was being a poser. Like it doesn't, and they have in their head what they think is going to be successful. I think just being yourself and being genuine is where it's at. And, I really like Chris Nilsson. He's got just such a dry, awesome sense of humor. He's ethical. He has a lot of integrity. As a manager, I trust him. And Anna, who's my day-to-day, she's awesome. She's like a friend as well. And they give me good counsel. So there's a lot of good things. And thanks for having this conversation, because sometimes I need to be reminded how well things are actually working and express that gratitude. And so because sometimes I need to chill out, but I really like them a lot. Yeah, no, they're a lot of fun to work with.
Yeah, you are doing well and you're working with industry leaders. So not a bad situation to be on all that end. But something that's further distinct about you personally, and this is another compliment, is there's a lot of artists where you hear the song, it's a great song, the personality doesn't come through. And in your case, you're the leader. You have so much personality that I wouldn't be surprised if you were acting in the future. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a clothing line, etc. For you, is it all music, or are there plans to do other things besides, lead a huge rock band?
Funny you say that. I'm actually going back to film Access TV Top 10 Revealed with Katie Darrell.
Oh,
Again, they asked me back as a regular on the show. I love it. I have a history. I have some experience in film and television and theater, mostly just extra work, like nothing to write home about, but pretty cool that I got to be on set for My Chemical Romance, Helena, the music video,
really?
yeah, some movies like Entourage, Scrubs, Date Night, like some films, mostly music videos though. So I really enjoyed it. And it's a lot of fun. And I love being on set. And I work with like Nick Peterson mostly on a lot of my videos and Linda Strawberry. And it's so much fun. And he wrote this killer script. So that was almost too big for a music video, is how it felt to me. It felt like a Jessica Jones type
Hmm.
show or so we decided, let's write a script, let's make a short film. So we're kind of working on chipping away at that. And then I'm doing the Access TV stuff, and I love it. I think it's a lot of fun.
So just calling you a singer-songwriter would be very limiting towards what we might be seeing in the near future. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think like whatever you're called to do is what you should be doing. And if I feel like a fire gets lit inside me over something, then I feel like I know that's that excitement, like that's probably a direction I want to go in.
Hmm. And Black Sheep, the video got a lot of traction online, charting, etc. More coming soon on the writing end or recording end, or are you really a one single at a time kind of person?
Right now we're working Black Sheep. We just got off to pretty much back-to-back tours. I headlined, and then we went out with Dirty Honey, and we might hit some radio stations in December. Probably just me and Sam, we'll see. But
Mhm.
yeah, Black Sheep is charting. The video was awesome to shoot. As you can see, I included the boxing and the MMA and the ring. That was my favorite
Yeah.
part of that video. It's just, yeah, it was just so like genuine. I love that Nick found that location. So we're probably not going to release another single on top of it anytime soon, but I'll be writing here and there. I really like working with Scott Stevens. He's amazing. So I'm gonna get together and see what happens. Eventually I'll have to get into the next album cycle, but everyone firmly believes that there's a good 2 years on this record.
Makes sense to me. Well, two quick questions and then you're free. And the first one is, you managed to keep up mystique. In other words, we watch you on stage and we go, we know everything about her, but do we really know everything about her? It's these personal lyrics, but you go, but where does she live? I don't know. You've in other words, you've kept up that mystique in a very good way. But what's your number two besides music and entertaining when your time doesn't have to go to that and the content creation and the promotion?
Recovery, a 12-step recovery program, volunteering at a women's, like it's not a rehab, it's like a women's sober house.
Mhm.
And going to meetings, working on myself, and then like the martial arts, staying healthy, going to the gym. But yeah, that's a big part of my life. And I'm not always doing it perfectly, but it's better than where I was. Like I definitely should be dead for real. And everybody's life has a purpose, and I'm glad I made it through. Man, there was some really dark times when I was struggling with it at my worst, but I found a way out. And I've been someone who has relapsed many times. I never understood the people that go in once and they get it. I've been to like 2 detoxes, 2 rehabs. It sucks. But I had some amazing experiences and I learned a lot. And I just love waking up not hungover. And when I start getting like, I guess, frustrated, irritable, restless, discontent, selfish, the quickest antidote to that is to go be of service to someone else. And so this women's step house I go to is like saved my life. I love those girls, and we just have meetings without the men around, which is nice.
Do they know that you're this rock singer that tours the world, or you look different and no one knows?
Yeah, they know, like we ask each other questions about our life, and so it gets out, but I'm just one of them. I'm no different. I'm just a recovering alcoholic who believes in love and rock and roll. I don't I'm just one of them.
Fantastic. And the last thing I have for you, do you have a TV recommendation that you could pass along, a new show that the wife and I should be starting? Because every time we say we're going to watch a show, we kill it in 3 days and we go, what's next? And somebody like you good taste. I figure maybe you have something.
Oh, obviously House of Dragon was awesome. The Servant, Severance is great. My boyfriend and I watch a lot of TV and movies. He's a big movie buff. He's actually playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare right now. I've never heard him be so quiet. He's so focused. I'm like, cool, I can do my interviews now. Movies, you know, gosh, there's been some really good ones. I'm drawing a blank right now. Shape of Water, but that's, you know, that was a couple years ago. That was really good. I really like Guillermo del Toro as a director and writer. Severance is awesome. It's like, what's going to happen? It just keeps you on the edge of your seat. I mean, I tried with Better Call Saul. I did a few seasons. I would fall asleep on every episode because it just put me to sleep. And everyone's like, this is the greatest show on TV. And I go, yeah, that's what I use to go to sleep. On tour in my bunk, I'm trying to catch up, right? I'm watching it on my phone, 10 minutes out.
Now I know what to do instead of melatonin. Put on Better Call Saul. Well, thank you very much for your time, and I'm looking forward to whatever's to come from you, whether it's new music, a tour date, another music video, whatever it is. Keep up all the greatness, and congratulations on the continued success, personally and professionally.
Thank you so much.
Paltrocast.